Victoria. I have Crystal here for an interview.
Hi, Crystal. How are you?
Hi, good, Molly. How are you?
Good. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
Did you have any problems finding our location at all?
No, I found it fine, thanks.
Good. All right. Well, I'm glad you could make it. So the way we'll structure our interviews, I'll have a set of questions that I'll get to ask you. And at the end of the interview, if you have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to address them.
Okay, great.
Alright.
That's good.
What motivated you to apply for the position of a clinician?
Well, I'm really passionate about working with families and children specifically, and I believe that children and families really make up our community and really, make our community stronger. And I feel like working with them and helping them become stronger overall helps our community. And I've just got a strong passion for working with kids.
All right. And in terms of your career goals, what are your plans for the next 5 years, and how do you think this position will specifically help you in addressing those career goals?
Okay, my overall career goals are to get my license in professional counseling, and specifically this position would help me get towards that because I need 3,000 hours of supervised practice, and this position would offer that to me and allow me to get my license and continue working as a clinician, as a licensed clinician.
Okay. And since this job does require a lot of collaboration with different agencies, they can be schools or DCF, it is important that our clinicians balance advocating for their clients while also working on these other entities.
Right.
Can you describe to me your experience that you have with working with outside agencies and other entities?
Okay. In my previous job, I worked for the Downtown New Haven Special Service Improvement District, which is the New Haven BID. And in that position, I had to not only work within the agency, but also with City Hall, with local coalitions, and with the police department, as well as taxpayers and local business owners. So that's one experience that I have where it was really important to sort of navigate between, within politics of different organizations and really get along with people. And then most recently in my internship at the Cornell Scott Hill Health Center's Child and Family Guidance Clinic, I did a lot of case management and working with schools, DCF workers, and the families that I was working with to really collaborate with them and bring the best service to my clients.
Okay. Well, many of the children who come to our clinic do have histories of trauma and or behavioral issues. Can you give me a specific example of a time where you worked with a difficult client or a client that was overcoming a difficult issue at the Hill Health Center?
Okay. I actually, one of my clients there, a 13-year-old girl, was really struggling with depression. She was engaging in self-harm and cutting herself, and so it was really serious stuff, and really trying to get at the root of the problem and work with her and sort of overcome some of the depressive symptoms, but also understand what was causing them. So with her, it was initially very difficult to build rapport, and even once we did, it was still hard to sort of get to the problem. And what I basically did was I just hung in there and worked with her and remained patient. I tried different things and sort of figured out what was working with her and what wasn't going to work. I also did a lot of parent management training to help the parents curb some of those behaviors at home also.
Okay. So in the end, what did you find was the result that worked out the best?
We actually, it turned out there was a lot of anxiety going on, and although she wasn't able to initially express that, trying some different techniques, I figured out that's actually what the problem was. And that's some of the stuff we worked on was coping skills and breathing exercises and things like that, and in the end, she is doing much better.
Okay. The clients that you would work with here at CFCG are from culturally diverse backgrounds. Can you please provide me a specific example of a time where you worked comfortably with individuals and families from different ethnic, cultural, or religious backgrounds other than yourself?
I worked through BH Care at a domestic violence shelter, and there we had women and children from a number of different cultural backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, even that didn't speak English, were living in the shelter, and so it was important that I remained sensitive to their different cultures and different things that are normal to one culture are not normal to another. And there was a lot of communal living is not easy, so there was a lot of sort of working with two different women or two different families in the house and sort of coming to a common ground when cultural issues came up, and and just really remaining sensitive to that. And understanding that I may not always know, someone's cultural background or understand it, and educating myself and asking questions when I need to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what would you say was the end result of working with those clients?
I think I did really well at it. I mean, it's never easy, like I said, working in a communal living situation like that, and a lot of the people had, trauma histories, and, so it wasn't easy. But I think I definitely learned a lot about myself and sort of where my deficiencies were when it came to cultural competency, and really strengthened that.
Okay. So speaking of the trauma, we do have children here with histories of trauma. And if one of our clients disclosed to you that he or she was being sexually assaulted by an adult, how would you handle that situation, and why would you choose that approach?
Well, as a mandated reporter, I'd have to report it to DCF. However, prior to that, I would definitely explain to the parent and the children, what the process is in working with DCF, and and my obligations as a mandated reporter, and sort of help them through that. Additionally, if we were dealing with trauma, I'd have to actually stop some of the treatment we were doing until a full investigation happened. And I would choose that approach because I'm mandated to, and I also think it's the best thing for the family to heal and the child.
Okay. So I see that on your resume you do have some experience here as well in the BH Care. Can you describe to me a time where you dealt with a crisis there at BH Care?
I had a situation, there are lots of crises that happen at the shelter, but probably the most recent situation that comes to mind, I showed up for my shift and there was a strange man in front of the building, and this is a confidential, safe house, and the women and children need to feel safe, and he was just sitting there in his car with the lights on, car running, and when I went and approached him and asked him, why he was there, he sort of made me feel even more uneasy. So I ended up calling the cops and having them come over to investigate. Eventually the man left, and then he came back, and he was nowhere to be found, but his car was still there, running, doors locked, lights on. So it was scary for me, but my main priority was keeping the women safe and the children, and not really inciting them. And so initially I tried to sort of keep it calm in the house, but I realized that they knew what was going on. There were police officers with lights looking all around the house and searching, and so it was really important for me to really ensure their safety. So they wanted to go outside and smoke and things like that, and they wanted to be comfortable in their own home. And so it was my responsibility to keep them in the house, sort of keep them calm, found some different activities to do with them, and spending time with the children and letting them know that I was there and everything was under control, even though I was scared.
So did that work out successfully?
It did, yep. Eventually, the guy he came back, left, took his car, and everything was fine. And I talked with the police officers, and in the end, everyone has sort of calmed down. It took a while. The whole house was sort of amped up. It took a while to sort of get everyone calm, but it did, and everyone was safe, and it ended well.
Okay. So while working with children and families can be very rewarding, it also can have a lot of difficulties and emotionally taxing work. Can you describe what steps you take to de-stress?
Yeah, on a regular basis, I exercise. That's really how I, on a daily basis, keep myself emotionally healthy. And then less frequently, or when I have time, I like to read, I travel, things like that. And so that's basically, but really exercising helps a ton, not only with stress relief, but endorphins and just keeping me healthy and making sure I take care of myself.
Okay. So speaking a little bit of stress there, we, in this job, do have a pretty heavy caseload at times. How comfortable are you in multi-managing your workload, and what types of things do you do to stay organized?
I'm extremely comfortable multitasking. While going to school, held multiple different jobs and did an internship and volunteered, so I'm definitely comfortable, with sort of high stress and lots of tasks. The way I keep myself focused, not only from exercising, also sort of helps me refocus, but I also make a lot of lists, and I just stay very organized, and that keeps me sort of on task and helps me from getting distracted.
Okay. And what about you specifically, Crystal, would you say makes you the best candidate for this position?
I think I'm the best candidate because I'm extremely passionate about working with children and families. Like I said, I really think that they're the root of our communities, and keeping them healthy and grounded and keeping families, strong really, really affects our communities. And children are, they're our next generation. They are the people who are going to be running this country, and I think it's very important for them to be healthy and to have positive lives.
Okay. Well, I've just pretty much finished up this interview with you. I got a chance to ask all the questions I have.
Okay.
Did you have a question at all for me?
When do you think you guys will be making a decision about the position?
Well, at this point, we did recently post the position. We are getting a number of applicants. However, we won't close on the position until we do find the right person for the
Okay.
job. So nothing in terms of a set deadline until we do find the best candidate.
Okay, great, fair enough.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, in case you have any further questions that come up, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. Here's my business card.
Thank you.
And once again, my name is Victoria. It's very nice to meet
Thank you. Thank you for having me.